So yeah, about Deshaun Watson, now that we know, the whole extent of his suspension and everything, does that look like a good business deal on the Browns' perspective, bring him in for, the largest fully guaranteed contract in NFL history? Is that a smart move for them?
Of course not. I mean, they're getting zero value for the next 3 months. And I would doubt, he gives them much value over this year because, he's coming back from a year and a half off or 2 years off. And is he really going to give them much in December? I don't know. But they looked at it clearly as a long-term play. They got 4 years of contract left, and they expect him to be a superstar quarterback for those 4 years. Listen, we can all debate what happened there. I think the Browns convinced themselves, we're never going to go anywhere without a franchise quarterback. You can only get him at the number one pick. And that didn't even work for them with Baker Mayfield. So they did what they had to do. And they probably thought the PR would die down. It hasn't. It's gotten worse because of all the things that came out about what Watson's behavior was like. But they're stuck. I mean, not stuck. That they're all in on Watson. I mean, I've said this 100 times. The best contract in the history of the sport, by far, went to that guy. And we can all shake our heads about that. I mean, no one is supportive of that. I'm sure you know this and everyone listening, except maybe Browns fans, right? So Browns fans are going to look at it and say, yeah, I know, but it's football. And, what do you do? Like, we got our quarterback. Yeah, it's a bad look. And, I think everyone has now sort of seen where this came out. We went through, where I was covering this for the past 6 months, whether it was going to be a full year suspension or a small suspension. Then it was 6 games. And then, of course, they settled for 11 games. I think a lot of people feel dirty about this, that he's not going to be out for the year. And the worst part of all is right after the settlement, he showed no remorse. He sort of said, I'm sorry if people got triggered. I mean, that's just a bad look for him and the franchise. And I've talked to Browns fans. I have some Browns fans in my life. And they're like, yeah, it's kind of icky. That's the word I've heard. It's really hard to predict with Brady. I mean, again, the mystery about his absence, it's a little weird because it's not we hear it's not health related. It's not family related. I don't know what it is. It's been quite an off season. He retired and then he unretired and then he signed with Fox, but not till he retires again. And now he takes this absence. I think Brady's in that rare category where LeBron and Serena just don't question it. The incredible longevity. I'm amazed by it. I'm an athlete myself. I try to be, and I'm already 60. So I'm really a fan of longevity in sports. And I admire Brady for taking care of himself so well. I read that he goes to bed at 9 o'clock and he, watches what he eats. And he's, of course, got the private trainer that lives with him. But, Brady has defied all the odds. So I think, it's safe to say this will be his last year, but, what happens in sports so many times is everyone would like to play till 45, but it's not up to them, right? So it's up to the teams, and teams usually don't want players after a certain age. Maybe quarterback and kicker are a little different. Yeah, I mean, if it's always health. I mean, if these offensive linemen come back, I think, yes, they're a contender. I think the 3 teams in the NFC, and I if people don't know, I have a strong Packer bias, are Green Bay, Rams, and Bucs. And I think they're a cut above the other teams in the NFC. So, yes, the Bucs are right there with the Rams and Packers in my mind. I think sometimes you sort of love the challenge, and at his age, it's not easy to find challenges. And now he's got one. He lost the best or second best or third best receiver in the NFL. So now he's going with young guys. And that's a real challenge for Rodgers. How good can he make the young guys? I'll never bet, just like Brady, I don't bet against Rodgers. I would pick him as the third year in a row, and I would be right if he does the MVP. I just think he's the best player in the league. I think he makes more of a difference than any other player in the league. So I'm all in on Rodgers. And obviously I'm biased. I've known him since 2005 draft night, and I haven't been in touch with him lately, but I certainly know all about him, and enjoying watching his journey off the field as he becomes older and more introspective, more thoughtful. And I probably do see this as his last year in Green Bay, probably more towards retirement than playing for another team. I just feel like he's not Tom Brady. He's not going to keep playing until they, pull the rug out from under him. Yeah, I mean, Jimmy G was not wanted. He's basically been on the market since the playoff game in January, and we've seen Baker Mayfield and all these other quarterbacks move, and not him. That's a question. Why are teams not after Jimmy G? I know he's got some injury history, but that tells you something. So he took a reduced contract. I'm not convinced his potential trade is over. Now, instead of $24 million, he's at $6.5 million, much more tradable. So whether an injury happens or whatever, I think there's a real possibility he's traded again. Maybe not before the season, but maybe soon. So I'm not convinced he's a 49er for long. Listen, they're all in on Lance. They gave up 3 number ones. He's their guy. They've made that quite known to Jimmy and everyone else. So we'll see. I think the book's not closed on Jimmy G playing somewhere else.
You mentioned Lance is, pretty solidly their guy. Is there any possible chance that maybe they start off 1-3? He's got a rough couple games. Jimmy G's sitting there on the bench. Any possible way with Shanahan that could become kind of a QB battle?
No. I mean, when you make these investments, teams are all in. I mean, it'd be like if Zach Wilson has a rough few games, or Trevor Lawrence, they're not. No, they're in. They're all in on these guys. Well, I think he's got an argument for it. Forget the agent part. He knows the Watson deal, and with or without an agent, if I'm him, I'm like, listen, you can talk about Wilson. I'm much younger. You can talk about Kyler Murray. I'm much better. You can talk about Deshaun Watson. I've had a better career. I've been less injured, and I've performed. And I don't have all that baggage. And they're going to say outlier, outlier, outlier. And it's up to Lamar to push the envelope or play out the year. And we'll see. We'll see. What's going to be interesting to me, Phil, is whether he gets a better deal than all these other quarterbacks without an agent, because all of that, everyone else had an agent. So it will really sort of put to bed whether he needed an agent or not if he gets something better. I'd say it's 50-50, because whether he even does a deal or not. He seems rather content, I think, to play it out. Now, of course, the Ravens have the franchise tag, so he probably wouldn't be a free agent next year, but we'll see.